too bad then. I
Doesn't
was
matter
given a
what
rundown
it
of some of your products, Lee, just in regards your sprays. I know you have one or two new ones out at the minute, but the sprays improve your day
yeah.
and improve your sleep was two of our top sellers and the lounge. So if you just wanted to have a wee chat about them and how you kind of came up with that
Yeah, sure. Well,
idea.
look, I've worked with terpenes and flavonoids and stuff for years now, alongside the cannabinoids, and I just felt in 2019 there's people not doing what they could with cannabis products. They were just putting isolate into a product and sticking it on the shelf so they could say CBD was in it, and it was just giving cannabis and CBD a bad reputation because a lot of the time it wasn't working as well as it could. So I introduced terpenes. The day blend, obviously, I say the day blend is different than the night blend. The day blend, I've introduced terpenes like sort of limonene and things like that complement each other. They will help anxiety and depression. And then the nighttime blend, I've introduced different nighttime terpenes like linalool, the type of things that would be in lavender and things like that would be very relaxing at night. Then terpenes are very pain relieving as well, so they're analgesic. So the nighttime one's more pain relieving than the daytime, but it gives a real wind down. It's when you use a nighttime, after 2 sprays, about 20 minutes later, you get that burn behind the eyes that you get from an indica strain because it's indica dominant terpenes. A lot of people under the misconception that THC is what makes you tired. It's actually the terpenes that give you a real tiredness in cannabis rather than the THC itself.
Yes. Sorry, I'm not, we're made Fergus are having a bit of back chat here as well. But yes, so basically I would highly agree in the sense that there was too much CBD getting a bad name because, to be honest, CBD can be so wonderful. There was far too much of an influx, and then obviously with it not being regulated correctly and people able to, say it was labeled as one strength and basically put out a completely different strength, then people weren't, they weren't taking it at face value. It was getting flooded, and your likes of your big brand stores, your Holland and Barrett's and your Tesco's and stuff, and it just wasn't up to par. So again, it was giving it a bad name. So no, we were delighted the fact that we'd got such good feedback from this, and that there's someone that knows the difference between what you need during the day and what you need at night, because again, two completely different things. So one of the other wee ones that was quite popularly we found was the repair, rebuild and recover salve.
Yes, muscle recovery balm.
Yes, it was very, very good. I think I'd give one of these out to an athlete there in Derry, and he found that compared to it was one of the oils, or no, it was given two different ones. It was one Supreme CBD one and one of yourself. He found that there was a massive difference just in the use of that and how it helped him. So it's good getting the feedback and knowing that it works.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Feedback's fantastic on all the products. I've really tried to make a products as high quality as I can. Obviously, you pay a bit more for them, but I mean, you do get what you pay for in this industry, as you know yourself.
Yeah.
But as regards anti-inflammatory properties that CBG can bring, it's second to none. It's far more anti-inflammatory than anything else in the market, and it's totally natural. That's what people need to realise too. And a lot of time, cannabis is the last choice for people when it should be the first. But again, that's down to stigma, as you know yourself. The stigma's ruined so many people's health. So many people's health could be helped with cannabis one way or another, whether it be CBD, THC, or terpenes, and yet the stigma just puts them off trying it altogether, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, that was another thing that I wanted to come to. We get a lot of people asking, why, would this make me feel funny? Would this make me feel high? And I just wanted to get your professional opinion on why it wouldn't maybe make them feel funny or high in comparison to cannabis itself.
I mean, the only thing that makes you feel sort of what they call high is the THC because of psychotropic effects. THC is psychotropic. CBD and CBG are actually anti-psychotropic. So if anything, they will actually balance you and give you focus rather than make you high. Rather than make you high and confused, they will actually make you quite focused and give you a lot of clarity. So it's the opposite effect, and that's people need to realise that it is the THC is the only thing that gives the effect that they call high to a degree, because psychotropic makes you feel that sort of wee bit out of sorts, but that doesn't come from any illegal products at all for me correctly, and there's no THC in them. I mean, the terpenes, don't get me wrong, the terpenes are very relaxing. The nighttime blend, it can feel relaxing to where it's similar to cannabis, but it's certainly not psychotropic or psychoactive. It's not psychoactive in any way to where it's going to make you feel out of sorts. You can do what you need to do 100%.
Yeah, more of a body relaxation
Yeah,
as
exactly
opposed to
what it's
head.
like rather than mind, yeah.
Another thing that I wanted to check in, so we have a few customers that would work in regards HGV drivers and maybe people that would have often take drug tests
Yep.
for work.
Mm-hmm.
What we would say to them is um, when they're taking a CBD oil, if it is full spectrum over a long period of time, that can build up. Does the same happen with the likes of the muscle balms, or would that be a better option for someone that has a very low threshold for allowing any THC or cannabis in their workplace?
It depends on the muscle band, but with ours, definitely not. There's no issues because I've used a broad spectrum distillate rather than a full spectrum. So there's no THC. There's everything else across the board, all the other cannabinoids, terpenes, flavonoids. But the only thing missing from mine is THC. For the simple reason that if regulation ever changes here, then I'll fall into regulation 100% because if it ever does fall into place, it's going to be working with percentages with THC. That's how they're going to do it.
Yes.
So to fall past that, I firmly believe that I can make quality products without the THC, and I'm proving that now with the feedback from everyone.
Most
It's down to the
definitely, yeah.
entourage effect. No matter what you're using, it's down to the entourage effect. Each time you're adding another cannabinoid, another terpene, you're increasing that entourage effect, and that's key to anybody helping their health.
Definitely. No, I would highly agree with that there. Do you know what I mean? And it just does show that it isn't down to just solely the THC. It's about the balance of other ingredients as well. And
Big
it's about
time.
what you put in, you know what I mean? It's, all the other ingredients that you're adding as well as the CBD need to be beneficial for that purpose.
There's no doubt. I mean, I had a guy message me last night and he asked about when I said something about endocannabinoid balance. And he says, when you said endocannabinoid balance, does that mean if I'm using too much, can I use too much THC? And I was like, of course you can. It's like anything, you're going to damage your receptors using too much over time. So you
Yeah.
need to eat back in that and get a bit of balance. If you're well balanced, you can use cannabis every day as long as you're well balanced. You won't damage your receptors and they'll work at their optimum. But if you're using too much of any of the cannabinoids, you're going to cause damage to your receptors. And over time, they just become overused and abused, and then they don't work 100%. And that's one of the reasons why I recommend everybody take a tolerance break. Whether it be THC, CBD, CBG, you take a tolerance break either way. I recommend take a tolerance break from all cannabinoids every 3 to 4 weeks for 1 to 2 days at least.
And that you find that would kind of improves and
No doubt.
find more beneficial. Yeah. So there
No
you
doubt,
go.
because it's like overusing anything. You need to reset it. Do you know what I mean? It becomes it's like drinking. For example, just using this example, if you're drinking 5 pints initially on a Friday night, you feel a certain way. But if you're drinking 5 pints every night, you'll not feel them as much after 2 weeks, and then you'll not feel them as much after 3 weeks, and you'll want 7 pints to feel that same feeling.
Yeah.
It's very similar. You're just building a tolerance. So if you
Yeah.
just take a break, you'll feel your aches and pains come back for a day, but you're resetting your tolerance a bit. Like heavy users, it'll take 5 days to fully reset your tolerance, but that's heavy users.
Yeah.
But anybody who's just using on a sort of low term base, 1 to 2 days should reset your tolerance to where you need so your receptors aren't overused and abused and they will work at their best.
Good. That's good information. That brings me back to my first ever coffee I had, and I thought somebody had spiked me with something else because I was jittery, I had sweats, everything was going. And I don't know, I could drink 6 coffees now, and I don't think I would feel that way.
Yeah, exactly. Build a tolerance. Says everything in nice balance, and cannabis is no different. It
Yeah.
can be abused the same as McDonald's can be abused. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't mean we should ban it and stop everybody having it.
Yes, yes. So we have a wee question in here. Could CBD and CBG potentially help with being too high by counteracting the effects of THC? So that's a good question there. I'll let you take that one, Lee.
100%. I mean, I've seen it in action. There has been studies over the last 2 years conflicting interest in this, but all the major studies point to this. The facts point to this, and the science points to this. That yes, because it's psychoactive and psychotropic, it will actually bring down the half THC. I've actually seen it. We were at an event before, and there was actually a guy who had consumed a joint outside. He came back in. He wasn't a heavy consumer, and I just seen him coming from 5-10 minutes before. I just seen the colour drain from him. So I knew to watch for it. And next minute, about 10 minutes later, he just literally passed out. And we brought him back around. He'd had a whitey.
Being
Again,
there.
two sprays underneath his tongue, and literally within 30 seconds to a minute it was the only thing brought him back around.
Oh,
Brought him back around.
really?
So
That's
yeah,
quick too.
honestly, I
That's
watched
quite
this.
amazing.
I watched this with my eyes. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's
literally
fantastic.
within a minute he started to come back round, and we give him sugary drinks, obviously, in a Mars bar to
Yeah.
try and really get the sugar levels up. once we'd done that, he brought himself back around, and then we gave him another bit of CBG to try and give him a bit of focus, try and really bring the high down.
Yeah.
So I've witnessed this firsthand, and I've seen it. And I've seen it with other friends who maybe be a wee bit too high, and I've given them a bit of CBG, and it brings it back down a bit. It'll not where you're high up completely, but it'll
Yeah.
certainly bring you a bit of balance and wear that psychotropic effect of THC off 100%.
They have found that that would be probably one of the highest complaints from patients that maybe haven't consumed a lot in the past and are getting prescribed these strains, because some of these medical strains, there's no doubt that the THC levels in them are astronomical.
It's uncalled for.
I've seen some of them, and they're very little of them also are balanced. I've noticed, I really surprised myself one month, and I actually ordered one called, I think it was Moonberry by Aurora, and I didn't actually even look at the THC level in it, and it was actually more CBD than THC. I think it was like 9% THC and 15 CBD. One of the nicest ones that I tried. It was such a fantastic everyday, daytime strain, and I actually loved it. But I probably would have found myself, if I hadn't looked at that THC level, went, no, that won't help me.
Yeah.
But no, I found it fantastic. But is there, why do you think that there isn't many balanced strains there currently on the medical market? Why are
At the
they,
minute,
focusing
at the minute,
solely on
I think that formularies being fed by money. I think the people unloading onto the formulary are looking money back in the industry, and they're going, if we put the highest THC out, it's going to sell the quickest. And unfortunately, at the minute, due to miseducation, that's the truth, because it's being proven. I mean, I get asked every week, I want the highest percentage of THC. I want the highest. Why do you want the highest? Because my aches and pains are really bad.
Yeah.
Then educate yourself on different strains and what helps what, because there's terpenes that are going to help your aches and pains far better, and THC is going to help it. Again, it's the big misconception. THC is this big, heavy painkiller. It's not. It's down. You put the right terpenes in, they'll be more painkilling and more pain relieving than THC. A lot of terpenes are analgesic as THC and more anti-inflammatory than THC, so you're getting a lot more benefit. I mean, I looked for a patient, it's actually on Friday there, he wanted something balanced, which was nice to hear, and there was only one balanced strain on the whole formulary. I mean, the list goes up 280, a lot of them are missing, a lot of them are out of stock, but there was one balanced strain, which was 7%, 7%, and that's the only balanced strain I could find for this guy. That's pathetic.
Yeah, no, I found that myself now as well, that there was a real lack of any form of balanced strains out there. I found personally what I like and what makes me easiest for aches and pains is that 24 to 26% with at least a bit of CBD in it, because I found them far more beneficial to aches and pains and relaxation than some of the higher strains. I think a lot of people now say,
if you look at the profile of those strains, I'll guarantee you that the terpenes in those strains, if you research the terpenes are in those strains, you'll find they're very analgesic and anti-inflammatory, and that's why you're getting the relief. Again, it's proven that THC is overrated. It really is. I mean, some of them sitting 29, 30% THC there. That's mental for people that have never consumed
31 as well, and it's probably one of the most popular strains too, even though people are sometimes unable to leave the house after consuming it because it's that. Yeah.
People just buy into the hype and the miseducation.
Burgers, have you still got it? What consumed it? So Louisa says, I could not tolerate limonene at all. The terp profile is extremely important for me. I'll let you pronounce easily. The dyslexia was coming out in me. Myrcene and caraflene.
Caryophyllene, myrcene and caryophyllene. Beta-caryophyllene is a very good terpene. Beta-caryophyllene is actually classed as a cannabinoid now as well, because of the benefits it brings as well. Beta-caryophyllene is probably my favorite terpene of them all. It's like a clove note from it. It's really nice. It's in my nighttime blend and in my daytime blend now. It's a fantastic terpene. Limonene's very strong. Limonene's that's what you get in lemons. You cut a lemon up, and that's limonene you get from a lemon. So that's our daytime. Limonene would be in our daytime, along with pinene type terpenes. But it's very refreshing. But for some people, again, it's very sharp.
Yeah, I'm definitely, I fall into that trap of anything citrusy and sweet. I'm guilty of that. Anything that smells pretty, I'm on it, definitely. But
it's good to hear someone knows the terpenes quite well, because she's totally right. I mean, they're total opposites. The limonene's totally opposite to the myrcene and
Louise definitely, she does her research, because she won't, when she's ordering her medical, that's one of the things she does, is goes and checks out the terpene profiles, because that's her most important. And it is one of the smartest things I've seen people do, because most people will go, as you said, uneducated and
Yep.
just go for THC levels without checking any other background to the plant at all.
Yep.
So yeah, no, it's very important, and it could make or break your cannabis experience, because you go for
100%.
something and that you don't like. Do you know what I mean? You ain't going to be happy, and vice versa. Do you know what I mean? So that's why everybody reacts. And if somebody likes a strain and says, "Oh, that's great," it might work for you, but it might not. It's important to take that into consideration. Whenever when you're asking peers and stuff like that about strain reviews. Do you know what I mean? It's not to say one thing that works for one person mightn't necessarily work for another.
Oh,
So,
listen, totally agree. I mean, all our endocannabinoid systems are very different, and just because it's good for anxiety for me doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be good for anxiety for you or someone else. But 90% of the time, it's going to be great. But there's always going to be someone it's not going to work for that strain.
right. We're going to end on a big one, Lee. So I'm going to pick your brain here on this one. But where do you think we are in regards to legislation and government for getting a decriminalisation of cannabis in general? Do you think it's something that's going to come on the cards, or do you think that these private companies now have realised they've tapped into a market, they've got enough customers, and people are happy to pay the money, and they're able to get these private patients on board? Do you think that it has maybe put a dent in our chances, or do you think that it's improved them?
Look, it's an argument you could talk about all day long, and I mean all day long. I mean, I see both sides. I helped. I mean, I've been an activist for years, pushed for decriminalisation. Ideally, is what I want. That's ideally what we all want if we know what we're looking at. But it's a step process. You're never going to go straight to decriminalisation. No country ever has. Well, very few. But the thing about it is, I think it has to be a step process to where we prove the benefits of cannabis through medical cannabis, which is what we're doing. We'll prove the benefits of cannabis, then we'll prove it as then we'll fight the case of, well, this is a human right. This should be a human right. It's a natural plant at the end of the day. It has medical benefits that we've now proven through the medical industry. So why is it being held back from us? Do you know what I mean? It shouldn't be prohibited anymore. I think if we fight that case, we can push for decriminalisation, and we will get it. And if everybody comes together instead of fighting in their own hostile wee groups, then I think we'll get it within 2 to 3 years if we do put a good effort in, because there's so many of us with knowledge, so many of us that can push this, and it's just a matter of coming together as a community and doing that. I think we could do it genuinely within 2 years. But if it carries on as it's
Along
going,
the way here, he agrees, but completely agrees with everything that you've just said. Yeah.
but if everybody doesn't come together and everybody keeps staying in their wee groups and fighting recreational versus medical and this, that, and the other, and dividing each other, then it's
work.
It's
not
never
going
going
to
to
work.
happen.
I would
And the big
agree.
conglomerates are just going to sit in the background and rub their hands and take the money in the meantime.
I have not seen such a divide in cannabis, and I don't know, I think ever in my experience since medical came on the market with recreational and medical, it really has caused, and we've lost the end sight, I think, and some people really have lost the end goal of what we're all wanting, and the only way to get that is to come together. I really do think that, there's too many people that are tit for tat and arguing and not looking at the end focus here.
That's the whole point of this new campaign and the Stephen starting it. Take it along with it.
So
it's like you say, it was very community based until the medical came along, and then a lot of people sort of got annoyed about it. But I mean, you have to progress with this as it comes.
That's it. Do you know what I mean? You have to take what you're getting first of all, and then try and go from there together.
To do that will prove the benefits. So
yeah, definitely. Well, Lee, thank you very, very much for joining us on our wee conversation.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, and as well, we have all of your products here in stock, and you do online as well, I'm sure, but you have a couple of other stockists as well throughout Northern Ireland. So if you can't get down to our shop, be sure to go and check out Lee's products. He's very, very knowledgeable, and I believe you have now released your CBD inhaler.
Yes. We're doing inhalers now. I have a daytime inhaler for very, very good for ADHD and focus and clarity and giving you a real lift in mood. And then the nighttime inhaler is for putting you to basically the nighttime inhaler.
Sign me up for one of them then, Lee.
No bother at all.
100%. Come here, Lee. It was an absolute pleasure chatting to you. We're going to
Thank
go
you
and
very much.
fill
It's been a
ourselves
pleasure.
up with some more coffee and jump off there. I'm going to give a wee tour of the shop, and I'm going to just give another wee rundown on the products that we have available here as well, folks.
Thanks very much
Anybody,
for
any
having me.
questions? Yes, you can shout away. But yeah, I hope this was informative. We will have many more discussions to come.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
Thanks, Lee. See you
Have
later.
a good day.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.